Begin. People will limit you based on their own fears and failures. That's just the reality of life. Not everyone who speaks into your life is speaking from faith, speaking from fear. Some are speaking from pain. And if you don't recognize the difference, again, you'll let their limitations become your beliefs. You'll start shrinking your dreams to fit inside their broken vision. Begin. You'll start adjusting your potential to make other people comfortable with your growth. But hear this, just because they can't see it doesn't mean you can't achieve it. Begin. When someone tells you, that's not realistic, they're not defining your limits, they're revealing theirs. Maybe they tried and failed. Begin. And they're projecting that fear onto you. Maybe we're told they'd never make it, and now they're repeating the same words that crushed them. It's a cycle. Begin. But cycles can be broken. Just because someone didn't go after their dream doesn't mean you shouldn't go after yours. Their story doesn't have to be your story. Begin. That their ending doesn't have to be your beginning. And many times those people are close to you. It's not always your enemies who doubt you. It's your friends. Begin. Your coworkers, even your family. That's what makes it hurt more. You expect opposition from the outside, but what do you do when it comes from the inside? From people you love. Begin. You've got to deciding, do I want their approval or my future? Do I want their comfort or my calling? You can't have both. You've got to protect your mind from their fear. To begin, you've got to build a wall around your vision, not to shut people out, but to shut doubt down. Understand that fear disguises itself as advice. It sounds like, again, I just don't want you to get hurt, or I think you should have a backup plan. But deep down, what they're really saying is, begin. I never had the courage to try. That's not your burden to carry. Don't take on someone else's fears and wear them like they're your own. Begin. Your journey will look different. Your path won't make sense to everyone. And that's okay. It's not supposed to. If it did, it wouldn't be yours. Begin. You have to become the kind of person who knows how to hear doubt and still believe. Begin. You've got to be able to stand in a room full of disbelief and still move like destiny is calling your name. Because the truth is, no one else has to see it. You want to begin. No one else has to believe it. Only you do. Only you need to be clear. Only you need to be committed. Because you're the one who's going to do the work. Begin. You're the one who's going to face the pressure. You're the one who will reap the reward. When people try to limit you, begin. What they're really doing is asking you to make yourself smaller so they don't have to face their own reflection. Your boldness threatens their comfort. To begin, your belief challenges their complacency. And instead of rising with you, many will try to pull you back to where they feel safe. That's not hate, it's fear. Begin, and you can't let fear make decisions for your future. You owe it to yourself to dream without limits. It shall begin. You owe it to the younger version of you who once believed anything was possible. If you want to begin, you owe it to your future to silence the noise of opinions that were never meant to define you in the first place. If you want to begin, because you weren't born to repeat someone else's story, you were born to write your own. So when they speak limits over your life, don't get angry. Don't argue. Again, don't try to convince them. Just keep believing. Keep going. Because one day your reality will speak so loud that their opinion will become irrelevant. Begin not because you proved them wrong, but because you proved yourself right. Ask ChatGPT, you said key point no and two expended in 600 words without heading, ChatGPT said. Begin. Listening to negative opinions kills before they're even born. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. Someone makes a small comment. Are you sure that's a good idea? Another person laughs and says, that's not really for people like us. You hear it once, then again and again. And eventually, if you want to begin, their voice becomes a whisper in your head that plays on repeat and you can do it. It won't work. Who do you think you are? If you want to begin, the most dangerous prison is not made of walls. It's made of words you believed. When you internalize someone else's disbelief, it begins to shape how you see yourself. If you want to begin, you stop reaching, you stop training. Why? Because the mind has accepted limits that were never true in the first place. If you want to begin, it's like planting a seed in poisoned soil. It doesn't matter how much light or water you give it. It will never grow unless the soil is clean. Your mind is your soil. Begin. If it's filled with doubt, fear, and negativity from others, your dreams won't stand a chance. Think about how many people die with their potential still inside them. It began not because they weren't capable, not because they listened to someone who said, you're not. Someone who told them to be realistic, to play it safe, to think smaller. Begin, and instead of fighting for what was possible, they settled for what was acceptable. Want to begin? That's the danger of negative opinions. They rob you of the fight before the battle even starts. They talk you out of the game before ever getting get on the field. Want to begin? The enemy doesn't always come wearing red horns. Sometimes it comes in the form of advice. People will speak from their own fear and dress it up as wisdom. If you want to begin, that's risky. What if you fail? Nobody's done that before. What they're really saying is, I'm scared. Begin. And I need you to be scared too. And if you don't guard your mind, you'll start calling that fear common sense. The world doesn't need more people who play small. Begin. The world needs people who rise up despite the noise. And to rise up, you have to be willing to disappoint some people. You have to be willing to walk away from conversations, if environments, and even relationships that keep feeding your doubt. You have to learn to say, begin, that be your opinion, but it's not my reality, because your dream is sacred. It's fragile in its early stages. Begin. That's why you don't need to tell everyone your vision, because not everyone will protect it. Some people are dream killers, and they don't even know it. Begin. They'll smile to your face while slowly dismantling your belief system with every word. You've got to recognize it and protect your space. Begin. Guard your energy like your life depends on it, because your future does. You need people who speak life into you, not death. You need voices around you that say, if you want to begin, not, you can't, because belief is contagious, and so is doubt. If you hang around people who don't believe in themselves, it won't begin. It won't be long before you stop believing yourself too. But if you stay close to those who think big, who fight hard, if you want to begin, who chase what's possible, you'll start rising just by being near them. So be intentional with your ears. What you allow them will show up in how you live. Begin. If you want to build a life of greatness, you cannot afford to give negative opinions a place to live in your mind. They don't pay rent, and they don't build anything. Begin. All they do is destroy a victim. Your life was meant to be a testimony, not a tragedy. Don't let someone's limited mindset bury your unlimited potential. If you want to begin, what you believe matters more than what they say. So shut the door on their doubt and open the door to your destiny. If you want to begin, because the only opinion that should shape your reality is the one that comes from within. Begin. You're not born to fit in. You were born to stand out. But the moment you start living for validation, you start dying to your purpose. If you want to begin, too many people up every day with their energy tied to approval. They dress a certain way, talk a certain way, live a certain way. Not because it's who they are. Begin, but because it's what they think people want. That's not living. That's not freedom. That's a prison. And the worst part is, begin. It's a prison with no walls. It's built inside your mind, one opinion at a time. Living for the opinions of others is like chasing a moving target. Today they applaud you. Begin. Tomorrow they ignore you. 1 minute they lift you up, the next they tear you down. And if your worth is tied to their applause, you'll always be a slave to the noise. If you want to begin, you'll never find peace, because you're giving people the power to control your emotions. You'll keep running in circles trying to impress those who don't even understand the value of what you carry. There comes a time when you have to reclaim your identity. You begin. You have to stop asking for permission to be who you already are. You don't need the world to agree with your purpose. You just need the courage to live it. If you want to begin, people don't have to understand your path for you to walk it. They don't have to like your dream for you to build it. To begin, and they definitely don't have to approve of your growth for you to keep rising. Every great person in history had to walk through seasons of misunderstanding. Begin. They were laughed at, mocked, criticized, but they didn't fold. They didn't let small minds convince them to live a small life. They kept building, kept showing up. Begin. Kept trusting what was in them, even when no one else did. That's what it takes. You have to be so grounded in your identity that opinions bounce off of you. Want to begin? You've got to believe in your purpose more than they believe in their doubt. Because here's the true thing, no matter what you do, someone's going to talk. If you want to begin, whether you win or lose, try or quit, bro, or stay the same. Someone will always have something to say. So you might as well give them something powerful to talk about. Again, stop shrinking to fit their version of who they think you should be. You weren't designed to live according to someone else's expectations. Begin. You were designed to live in alignment with your own divine calling. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your authenticity. It needs your voice. Your vision. Begin. Your unique perspective. But if you're always editing yourself to avoid judgment, you'll lose the very thing that makes you great. Your authenticity is your superpower. To begin, and the moment you stop hiding, the moment you stop apologizing for who you are, that's the moment you become unstoppable. Begin. You've got to be willing to be disliked in order to be free. Begin. That doesn't mean you walk around arrogant or rude. It means you stop compromising your truth just to keep other people comfortable. You start showing up fully. Begin if it makes others uncomfortable, because your purpose was never meant to be palatable to everyone. It was meant to be powerful. So make a decisioning. Begin. Are you going to live for likes, or are you going to live for legacy? Are you going to follow the crowd or follow your calling? It's one or the other. You can't do both. If you want to begin, you've got to look in the mirror and say, this is who I am, and I refuse to shrink to make anyone else feel secure. Because at the end of the day, if you want to begin, won't be their opinion regret. It'll be the opportunities you missed trying to please people who were never meant to guide your path. Choose boldness over approval. Again, choose purpose over popularity, because when the applause fades and the lights go out, the only thing that will matter is whether you were true to the calling placed inside you. Again, you've got to decide who's holding the pen to your story. Are you the author, or have you handed pen to someone else? To their opinions, to their fears, to their limits. To begin. Because the moment you allow someone else's words to shape your narrative, you lose your voice. And when you lose your voice, you lose your power. Every single day. Begin. People are walking around carrying the weight of labels that someone else gave them. Begin. You're too old. You're not smart enough. You're not the right fit. These words become invisible chains wrapped around their potential. Begin. And they don't even realize they're locked up. You were not born with doubt. It was taught to you. Somewhere along the way. Begin. Someone said something that made you question your greatness. And instead of rejecting it, you absorbed, you carried it. You lived by it. But today, to begin, you've got to make a choice to drop what doesn't belong to you. If someone handed you a lie, you don't have to keep holding it. You have the power to return it and say, if you want to begin, this isn't mine. Most people spend their lives reacting to opinions instead of responding to purpose. Begin. They're constantly adjusting their direction based on what others think. One negative comment and they change their whole plan. One laugh from the wrong person. Begin and they stop chasing their dream. But purpose isn't a popularity contest. Your calling doesn't come with a vote. It's between you and the one who put it in you. Begin. So stop asking for confirmation from people who don't have your vision. Sometimes the very people you want to impress are the ones who are least capable of seeing your value. You want to begin. You're trying to prove yourself to people who haven't even proven themselves. And if you're not careful, their disbelief will start to look like truth to begin. But disbelief is not a fact. It's a reflection of their own limitations. Don't wear it like it's your truth. You've got to see beyond their sight. You want to begin. What they can't see in you says more about than it ever will about you. You weren't created to live an average life. That nagging feeling in your chest, it wanted to begin. That whisper in your spirit, it's not noise, it's your calling, and it won't go away just because someone else doesn't understand it. You have to trust what's in you to begin, even when others don't. Because if you don't believe in your own power, you'll never activate it. Power only responds to belief. It won't show up for doubt. Begin. So when you wake up each morning, ask yourself, whose voice am I following today? Mine or theirs? People will always have something to say. But when your purpose is strong, their words become background noise. You stop reacting to every comment, every look, every critique. You start moving with intention if you begin, not insecurity. You stop explaining your journey to people who aren't even walking in the same direction. To begin. That's when you become dangerous. When you stop giving others the power to dictate how far you go. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question your motives. If you want to begin, while they're busy forming opinions, you'll be busy making progress. While they're watching, you're working. While they're doubting, you're developing. Because the only way to truly silence the noise is with results, not by arguing, not by defending, but by becoming undeniable. Begin. You've got to love yourself enough to disappoint some people. Love yourself enough to be misunderstood. Begin. Love yourself enough to break away from the crowd and walk the path meant only for you. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because at the end of the road, if you want to begin, well, look back, you won't regret following your truth. You'll regret every moment you let someone else's opinion pull you away from it. So take the pen back. Again, you write your story your way. And don't stop writing until your life screams freedom, power, and purpose. Again, when you finally stop letting other people's opinions run your life, you'll find out how powerful you really are. See, the truth is, If you want to begin, most people never get to experience their full strength, not because they don't have it, but because they never give themselves permission to use it. They get a beginner too busy waiting for someone else to validate them, to approve their dream, to co-sign their greatness. But here's what nobody tells young: begin. Greatness doesn't need permission. It needs a decision to stand up for who you are, even when it's uncomfortable, a decision to keep showing up. If you want to begin when no one claps, a decision to believe in yourself, even when they don't. You don't need everyone to get it. You just need to get started. Some of the most powerful people on the planet were underestimated, overlooked, and ignored, and they used it as fuel. If you want to begin, they didn't sit around explaining why they deserve to be taken seriously. They put their heads down and did the work. They let the results speak. They built in silence. Again, they prepared in secret. And when the time came, they didn't have to announce themselves. The world had no choice but to recognize what they had become. Begin. When you stop living for approval, you start living in alignment. You doing what feels right instead of what looks good. And that's when your life begins to change. You want to begin because now you're moving from authenticity, not insecurity. You're guided by your own vision, not someone else's expectations. And even if the path gets lonely, begin. It's still your path. That makes all the difference, because a lonely road walked in purpose will take you further than a crowded road that leads nowhere. Sometimes begin. The most powerful thing you can do is go silent and get serious. Stop posting. Stop explaining, performing. Just grind. Just build. Because while you're working, do the begin. The people who once doubted you are watching. They may not say anything, but they see it. They feel it. They sense the shift. And by the time they realize what's happening, if you want to begin, you've already arrived. You didn't need their belief. You needed your own. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Begin. It's about walking in the truth you've known all along, that you were built for more, that you carry something special, that your voice matters, your ideas matter. If you want to begin, your dream matters. But the longer you wait for someone to give you permission to chase it, the further you drift from it. You've got to take ownership. You've got to say, to begin. No more waiting. No more doubting. More shrinking. I'm taking responsibility for my future. There's something powerful that happens when you move in silence. Begin. You're not distracted by applause. You're not caught up in criticism. You're locked in, focused, driven. And in that space you grow, you gain clarity, you gain momentum. To begin. And eventually you become unrecognizable. The same people who ignored you even know how to approach you, because you're not the same person anymore. You've elevated. If you want to begin, and you did it without permission, you can't let small minds talk you out of big vision. Some people can only see the world through the lens of fear, doubt, and limitation. If you want to begin, that's not your lens. Don't borrow it. Just because they can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. You want to begin. Just because they don't believe it doesn't mean you shouldn't build it. Faith is moving when no one else understands why. Faith is building what hasn't been built yet. Begin. And when you do that consistently, their opinions will fade and your reality will rise. Begin. Your time is too valuable to waste explaining your purpose to people committed to misunderstanding it. Let them think what they want. While they're talking, you're becoming. Begin. While they're judging, you're creating. And before long, the life you built in silence will be the proof that you never needed their validation to begin with. If you want to begin, you just need to trust yourself, trust the process, and keep moving. That's how real change happens. Not with noise, but with quiet, focused action. Begin. The world doesn't need another loud voice with no substance. It needs quiet warriors, builders, people who don't just talk about what they're going to do. To begin, but actually do it. Day by day, moment by moment, decision by decision. There's a kind of power that doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention. Again, it doesn't compete for approval. It simply shows up, stays consistent, and over time it becomes undeniable. That's what you need to become, undeniable. If you want to begin, and you do that not by being the loudest in the room, but by being the most focused, the most disciplined, the most faithful to your process. When you build in silence, if you want to begin, you eliminate distractions. You stop trying to impress and you start trying to improve. You stop worrying about who's watching and you start watching your own growth. Begin. That's where greatness begins. In the unseen, in the uncelebrated, in the unnoticed corners of discipline. Nobody sees you turning down distractions. Want to begin? Nobody claps when you're up late mastering your craft. Nobody applauds you when you sacrifice sleep to make your dream real. But that's okay. You want to begin because the reward isn't in the recognition, it's in the transformation. You've got to stop measuring your progress by how many people notice you. The number of likes, again, comments or followers you have doesn't determine your value. What matters is how many times you show up when no one is watching. Again, What matters is how committed you are when motivation runs out. Anyone can perform when the spotlight's on. Real power is built when no one's looking. If you want to begin, it's what you do in the dark that shapes who you are in the light. Every day, you have a choice. You can either react to the world's noise, begin, or you can respond to your inner voice. That still, small voice that whispers, keep going. That voice that tells you to keep building even when it's hard. Begin. That voice that knows your potential and won't let you settle. But you've got to be quiet enough to hear it and brave enough to follow it. Want to begin, even when it leads you through unfamiliar territory. Stop announcing your every move. Let your work announce you. Let your results make the noise. When you do that, you shift from needing validation to creating value, and value never goes unnoticed for long. Even if people doubt you in the beginning, even if they dismiss you, if you want to begin, there will come a day when your consistency forces them to reconsider, because you become something they didn't see coming, someone who didn't give up. If you want to begin, didn't back down, didn't fold under pressure. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they talk more than they act. They dream more than they do. If you want to begin, but if you're willing to flip that, if you're willing to do more than you say, to build more than you boast, you'll start to separate yourself. Begin. You'll move from being one of the many to becoming one of the few who are remembered, the few who are respected, the few who become legends in their lane. Silence your secret weapon. While others are distracted by the crowd, you're developing. While they're performing for attention, you're practicing for purpose. To begin, and when you finally step into the light, there won't be anything fake about it. It won't be hype. It'll be harvest. Again, the kind that comes from the seeds you planted when no one was watching. That's how you win quietly. That's how you become unstoppable. So stay grounded, stay focused. Stay faithful, because while the world is chasing noise, you're creating legacy. You're building something that will outlive opinions, outlast trends, and outshine doubt. You want to begin, and when it's all said and done, they won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you built.